Welcome to Wildlife Conversations. I'm Jen Ritchie, your host, and we're just going to have such a good time tonight. I have my friend Brian Hill with me. Hi, Brian.
Hey Jen, how are you doing?
I'm good, and we're just going
Great.
to have a great conversation. And we've got lots of people joining us already in the chat. Hi, everybody. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Monty. Hi, Mike. Lots of familiar names, Brian. They're here to see you. They're
Awesome.
listening from Oregon, listening from Arizona. Where did I see? Maureen's probably in Salt Lake on her way to work. Virginia. Hi, Neil. Hi, Audrey from North Carolina. Lots of different places around the country. Yeah. I think that's
Awesome.
Michael from Arizona, and there's Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Jenny
Hey
Cannon, I
Jenny.
think.
Hey Jenny.
Brian, the last time we saw you, we were all bundled up in
I
Yellowstone.
know.
I did.
Yeah,
That was 2025, and you've been back again with Maureen though, right?
I have. I have.
Yeah, that's
I got
fun.
some stories on that too.
Oh, good. Watch out, Maureen. I remember like saying, "Who is it? Who is it?" And they're like, "I think it's Brian Hill," but we were all like
Oh
so
yeah.
covered up in the winter.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell. It was
Right.
hard to tell. But I also want to say thank you to Robert's Camera before we start and just thank them for all the support they give to the podcast. And they have great inventory, great help. They know everybody by name. I've seen it myself. So if you want to look in the description and see the coupon code, they've given the podcast 10% off of used photo gear and some select accessories. I do not make any money off of that. It is just a gift to the Wildlife Conversations family. So please use that and get 10% off. I know we're always spending money on gear. So, and then also Siler Peralta Ramos and I are doing a 3-month coaching cohort, and that starts June 1st. So if you're interested in that and you'd like to join the new round that we're doing, just let me know, message me. We've had a great group of people, Brian. They have been so wonderful this last 3 months. We've had so much fun. And some of those people are continuing in a part 2, but we're starting a whole new round. So if you'd like information about that, let me know. But anyway, people are still saying hello. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Billy. So many nice people in this community. And I think, Brian, I was telling you before we got on, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because it's people
Sure.
like you. When Jenny and Maureen and I were talking in Alaska in 2024 now, we
Right.
wanted a podcast for people like you and people like
Right.
us that had smaller accounts and just loved this genre and wildlife photography. So
Yeah,
I'm
I love
so
it.
glad you're here. Thanks for being
Thanks.
on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm
So
excited.
you are located in Kansas, right?
Kansas. Yeah, the great mountainous state of Kansas.
I was
So,
gonna say, you sent me something from the Wichita Mountains, which I could share
yes.
now. And I was
Yeah,
like, wait, where are their mountains? I had to go look
I
it
know.
up. But
Well,
it's Oklahoma,
it
right?
is, and the crazy thing is, I wasn't even aware of that place. Turns out, so
Yeah.
I have family that live in Oklahoma, and they started seeing my wildlife photography stuff on social media, and they said, "Hey, have you ever been to the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma?" And I said the same thing. I said, "Mountains in Oklahoma? I never heard of it." So anyway, I looked it up, and they have an amazing bison herd there,
Yeah.
and then they also have wild Texas longhorns that are on the refuge there. They have an elk herd
Oh,
that's
wow.
there. They have white-tailed deer, I mean, turkey, everything. But anyway, I mean, they're obviously not like the mountains out west, but
Right.
it's absolutely it's a beautiful place in the Midwest. If you're from the Midwest, it's
Yeah.
only about a 5-hour drive from where I'm at.
Yeah.
So yeah, that image that you pulled up there, that's kind of a luck image. I'll just speak to it briefly, but I actually had just set up. I'm just using I have a setup on a tripod
Mm-hmm.
for a sunrise,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually happen to have I have a little remote, to work my camera. I don't even remember
Yeah.
what the
Yeah. Remote
model is, but
shutter.
yeah,
Yeah.
remote
Yeah.
shutter type deal. But I didn't have that set up yet. But anyway, I had taken a couple sunrise snaps, and then all of a sudden, from over the top of the hill, that bison appears and kind of starts walking towards me. And the light was so low when I took that. I mean, my big lens would have just it wouldn't have worked. But anyway, so I left that out there. I was able to turn my Bluetooth settings on real quick, and I just left my tripod in the middle of that field with my camera on it. And then I walked back kind of where my truck was parked. And
Oh, wow.
I literally just crossed my fingers. I kind of got my settings, dialed in before I walked away, but the bison wasn't in the frame yet. So anyway, I walked away and the bison just continued walking towards my camera perfect, and
Nice.
got a pretty cool
That's really
shot of
cool.
him. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to say, and like, I know everyone's so sick of me saying this, but when you're in the Midwest, when you can get something like that,
Oh
that's a
yeah.
big deal. It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, being from the Midwest, and we can talk about this more later, but I love light. And when you don't
Yes,
have mountains, I'm always trying to get good shots with light, or even clouds, things
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
just things to try to make the photo stand out, since you don't have nice mountain ranges that you
that's
can
right.
have in
That's
the
right. I
background. Yeah.
know, I know. But that's cool. I'll have to
Yeah.
visit that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is not your full-time profession.
No, no. It's close to full time, but it's not.
Yeah.
I'm retired law enforcement,
Yes.
actually. I
Yes.
did a little over 26 years in law enforcement. I just
Wow.
retired 2 years ago. So,
Wow. Well, thank you for all your service.
yeah,
That's a
no, I
long
appreciate it.
time. That's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah, yeah.
And so now
It's a
you
rewarding career, but it's challenging as well. So,
yes,
yeah,
yes. We were talking about that a little bit before we got on, just
right.
how challenging that is. And is that why photography became such a big part of your life?
Huge part of it. Yeah, a huge part of it. So I think anybody, I mean, especially military, any stressful job, but military people, law enforcement, fire, EMS,
Mhm, mhm,
I think of Marine all the time,
mhm,
with her NICU
mm,
position as a nurse, but,
mhm.
people that working in ERs and hospitals and things like that. I mean, there's so much, um, for us to process. There's so much negative, there's so much
Yeah,
evil,
yeah,
hurt, sadness, whatever the case may be, trauma, things that we have to deal with. So yeah, nature is huge, and photography has been a big outlet for me.
yeah.
Super big outlet. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you before we got on, my dad was a funeral director, and so
Right.
watching him growing up, just the trauma of when young people would die and things like
Yeah.
that, I could see the toll, and
Yeah.
just everything you have to see, an assistant coroner, so everything you have to see, and if he
Yeah.
did not have fishing and being out in
Right.
nature, I mean, it
Right.
just really filled him. It filled that
Yeah.
you need that. Yeah, it's
Right.
just so important, and I think so many people that, listen to this podcast and are part of this community totally relate to being filled back up,
Right.
out there. It's just
Right.
nice to think and have
Right.
joy and peace.
Well, we talked about this a little bit before, but faith's a big part of my life. Like, it's a huge
Yeah,
part of my life, and
yeah,
there's been so many times where it just, I mean, for every in this world, it just, you have so many questions. Why is this happening? Why is this happening this way? How could good things happen to bad people and things like that?
yeah,
But when I get out in nature, it renews my faith. It just makes me believe in a creator and
mhm.
an intelligent designer, and things are perfect out there.
I know.
And
Yeah,
there's everything's right. It's real. There's
yeah,
nothing fake. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
it's just so relaxing.
yeah, I feel that too. I feel that too. So, this started, like you said, 2022, but had you ever had a camera in your hand before that?
I did. I actually, funny enough, I don't know if your schools had it, but when I was in junior high school, we actually had a photography class.
Oh,
And
nice. I
so
did not have that.
yeah, yeah, we had photography classes in junior high. Um, we had a little dark room. It was mostly black and white stuff that we did,
Mhm,
but we had a
mhm.
dark room where we develop our pictures. So that was my kind of my first entry into the photography world.
That's cool.
So I did that kind of thing, messed around with it. But then I was trying to think of what it was. I wrote something down because I was trying to remember my progression. But my wife actually bought me a camera. It was one of the first DSLRs that Nikon came out with. I think it was
Mhm,
like the
mhm,
D100 or something like that.
mhm.
But it was like 5 or 6 megapixels, and it shot a whopping, I don't know, 2 or 3 frames per second, something like that. But so I was just kind of a hobby guy, though. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tried, but I was interested in it. I wanted to make good pictures, but the information wasn't there like it is now. So it
Yeah.
was, you kind of had to figure things out on your own. And then I got big into backpacking and hiking. That's something that my wife
Mm.
and I do together.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we were doing these like really long backpacking, 100-mile plus backpacking trips through the mountains, and we were having all these amazing wildlife encounters.
Yeah.
And they were so intimate because nobody else was around. We were so far from trailheads and things that we were just, seeing moose and seeing elk and seeing deer and the moms and their babies and all these amazing things. And I was like, I got to get back into this photography thing. So, and I need to be photographing the wildlife that we're seeing. So I was doing some
Mm.
landscape stuff, in the mountains because there's so
Yeah.
many opportunities for that. But we were seeing all
Yeah.
these wildlife. So I actually bought a little Sony A6400. It was their little APS-C camera, I think in
Mhm.
2019, something like that.
Mhm.
And I bought it though just because it was lightweight and
Yeah, I was gonna say hiking
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
backpacking those long distances. I wanted to keep
Yeah.
it lightweight, so I paired it with like a 70 to 350 Sony lens, which is actually it's an awesome setup. In all honesty, it takes great
Mhm.
pictures,
Mhm.
and so I kind of started there and kept doing that. And then I went to a full frame, I think the A7 III, and then I stayed with the Sony platform though, because of my entry, I think with that APS-C camera and the
Yeah.
reviews it got for hiking. It had nothing really to do so much with it was the greatest camera for photography, but that's kind of how I ended up going down that road and
Yeah.
how I kind of got to where I'm at now. So
Yeah. I'm the same with Canon. Yeah, just because I knew it, stayed with it,
right,
you
right,
know? Yeah.
yeah,
I'm the same way, like, we would go to national parks and just miss all this because I just have, like, a point and shoot and
oh
miss,
yeah,
like, a mama moose or,
oh
all this
yeah,
stuff. I just got so tired of it.
yeah.
So it's
There's
so
an
cool.
Indian Peaks loop in Colorado that my wife and I did, and it was my first up close encounter that we had with just a beautiful bull moose.
Ugh.
And at the time I didn't even have my APS-C camera. I took a cell phone picture of it,
Mhm.
but I thought I
Mhm.
could come back and blow it up and do a print
Yes,
and all that.
yes.
And I got back and it just looked horrible once I got it on the computer. So that was kind of the final straw that, hey, I need to get
Yeah.
a legitimate camera here.
Totally. That was the same with me. It was a
Yeah,
moose, and I'm like, "I
yeah,
am not doing this anymore. This is
that's right.
ridiculous. These 2 big
Yeah,
bull moose in Rocky Mountain National Park," and I was like,
yeah.
"This is ridiculous." Like, zooming this little thing back
All
and
right.
forth, point and shoot. I'm like, "This is ridiculous."
Yeah,
But, I mean,
exactly.
I think there's, like, a foundation of, like, things you love, and it just starts like, "Yeah, I gotta do this.
Oh
I
yeah,
gotta get this," you know?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it totally evolves. Your work has totally
Oh
evolved.
yeah,
You have
oh yeah.
beautiful shots.
Well, thank you,
Absolutely beautiful shots, and
thank you.
I know you love the rut.
I do, I
And I
do.
mean, I do too. It's
Right,
crazy. Do you go to, Rocky Mountain National Park for that ever?
I do. Yep,
Okay,
yep.
I have not done that. That's our family's park, but we're Springs.
Yeah,
So I've never
gotcha.
and the crowds, I always think it's my
Yeah.
park, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, to go with the crowds, but I need to
Yeah,
do it because
yeah,
I know the areas you're in, I know where
yeah,
they are, I see
yeah,
them, I know where you guys are, but,
right. Well,
I
and
need
the
to go.
downside too is so the west side of the park,
Mhm,
which
mhm.
was great for elk viewing as well.
Yeah,
They had a lot of fires over
yes,
there, and there's some beetle kill too. But anyway,
yes.
I think a lot of the elk that they shared spaces. I mean, there's still some elk over there because I've gone over there,
Mhm,
but not like there used to be.
mhm.
Because I love the west side. So now, I mean, I think that's even increased the crowds a little bit, on the
Interesting.
Estes Park side.
Yeah, yeah,
The crowds are even, I think, bigger than they were before just because of
yeah,
some of the wildfire issues on the other side.
yeah,
I could be wrong, but
yeah.
that's at
Well,
least
the crowds
my
are so bad
experience.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. So with that, I'm a morning that they're not as bad in the mornings.
that's good. Yeah,
And it's mainly not all, but it's, mainly kind of photography, like people that are really there dedicated to
yeah,
wildlife photography, it seems in the
yeah,
mornings. Not it's all, but a lot of them. And
yeah,
then of course in the evenings, not that there's anything wrong with, tourists, but at the evening time, it's definitely more of a mix of
yeah,
kind of your dedicated photographers and your tourists. So yeah,
yeah.
it gets a little crazy. Sometimes I just have to go somewhere else and I mean, you can find elk, all around out there.
Yeah.
So there's other little places that you can kind of sneak off to. But
Yeah, I just love in the spring seeing all the babies and
oh
everything.
yeah,
It's so
oh yeah,
fun. I try to
yeah,
go early before Memorial Day. Like our school gets out a little earlier, so we would try to get out there as soon as the kids got out of school and get out there before Memorial Day, before the
right,
tourists. And it
right,
was just so nice to have like not very many people in the by
yeah,
the lakes and all that. It's
yeah,
so beautiful, such a
yeah,
beautiful park.
yeah. It
So
is.
let me share some elk photos, and
Okay,
you can tell us about them, and maybe tell us a favorite elk rut story.
sure.
I'm sure there's good ones.
Yeah,
But I love this positioning. I love when they do this, lifting their chin up. They're so
yeah,
majestic. It's so
right.
pretty.
Yeah, yeah. That was just. I love the fog. Anytime you can get
Hmm.
fog, it's fantastic. And
Hmm.
if you can, it's so much of it's luck. Just being at the right place at the right time, and the lights right, and their behaviors right. So, I mean, even during the rut, there's a lot of downtime. So, or they may be doing cool stuff, but they're too far away, or whatever the
Right,
case may be.
right,
But
right.
yeah, that's I don't, normally I know we don't talk about places, but it's so popular and known. I think that's a
Yeah,
moraine park area
yeah,
bull, but
yeah.
yeah.
I figured. I
Yeah.
figured.
Yeah, yeah, that's where the majority of the people are hanging out. But yeah, he was absolutely beautiful and the
He
sun was just
is.
right. So
So pretty. I love
yeah.
when they prance like that.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, it's
Swinging their
so
heads
pretty.
from side to side, and
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, we're such like weirdos.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people are like,
Oh
"What do
yeah.
you mean? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just a thing. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Mhm.
We've got it really bad."
Right, right.
This guy is gorgeous. Was this the
Yes.
west side of the park or the east side?
No, that's the east
East
side.
side.
So
Okay.
so I love to get out on foot. Now,
Yeah.
I've at full disclosure, I've had some injuries I've been working through that have hampered that a little bit, but I love hiking. So even my
Hmm.
current camera setup,
Hmm.
I went with the lightweight, so I use the Sony, the 300 f 2.8,
Hmm.
and I got a little story behind that too. But I before that, I mainly used the 200 to 600. But I like to, if I can get out of the car, I do the same thing in the Tetons. Yellowstone, I get, when you get up in the grizzly country, it's a little different if you're by
Yes.
yourself, because you have to be careful. It can be way more dangerous. So
Yes.
it's, if you have a group of two, preferably three people, it's much better. But
Yes.
in Rocky Mountain, that bull right there, we had a rain, and of course, a rain helps get some of the people to get back in their cars and go do something
Hmm.
different.
Hmm.
But I decided to go on a hike, and I just came across. I was by myself, came across that bull in the woods, and it was one of those deals, where the rain had just stopped, so everything's wet. He's obviously all wet from the rain, and he's all mudded up from the rut. But then the sun was just kind of starting to
Oh,
kind of,
wow.
peek through the. You have the clouds that are kind of dissipating. So it's just one of those things where everything was wet. It was still, kind of late morningish, I guess, but we had some rain, and then so the sun was just coming through those clouds, right? And the light was just really good, and he was just, shots in the woods are hard. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of times I'll take them all the time, and you get back and it's just a cluttered mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just so many distractions in your frame.
Yeah.
But that one just worked out right, and it's one of my favorite. I love the colors, and
I do too. I was gonna
everything.
say that
Yeah,
rich color background, and you don't have any
yeah.
like twigs in his face or anything.
Yeah,
It's tough.
yeah, it was,
It's tough because they hide.
they do,
That's
and
really
he
good.
stood, and the good thing was he stood there. I mean, I don't know, that was another one I'm sure you can relate to. I probably have 100 frames of him standing, in the same spot with
Yeah.
slightly different head looks, but, nobody else was around, and what else are you gonna do? So
Sure.
I was just mashing the shutter, and I came back and looked at it, and I was thinking, "What were you thinking? What were you
I do
doing?"
that all the time.
Yeah,
Like, did you not think 10 were
right,
enough?
right,
Do
right.
100 of the same bear?
Exactly,
Oh, that's really
exactly.
gorgeous. I have a
Yeah,
beginner photo like that and from like 2017 or 18 in that same kind of setting, but it was just over the west side, just over the
okay.
top.
Yeah.
And there's a log in front of him though. But back then I was
Uh,
like, oh, he's so beautiful. I didn't care. But it was that
oh,
same
yeah.
kind of texture like that, you know,
Right, right.
where they just standing there so majestically. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
There's something about those alpine forests too there that I just love, and just
Oh
the
yeah.
smells is so pretty.
Yeah.
So
And when the light's right, especially
mhm,
things are wet or even heavy
mhm.
dews and you get those sun rays going through there,
Yeah,
if you can make it work with the shadows and the light, I mean, you can get just some phenomenal images. So
yeah, he's pretty. He's
yeah,
really pretty.
yeah, yeah. And I don't
Yeah,
think, I mean, obviously he was a small fish in the ocean because he had no cows with him and
yeah,
he was he was hoping, I guess.
yeah, there's some big boys. Because when we
Yeah.
go in the spring, they're all just laying around in their
Oh
velvet,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
laying around everywhere.
Right. Right. Chewing their
So there
cud.
has to be, like, such a part of community. I think the rut brings community out
It
in
does.
art, in wildlife. Like, it's
Yeah.
just nice.
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
feel that?
For
And
oh,
do you have
absolutely.
examples of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, um, I've met a lot of people in Colorado that have become, I consider them friends, but we
Mhm.
communicate a lot on social media now. And then I see them,
Yeah.
during the rut period. And for me, like I do a lot of stuff solo, other than I do take a dog with me. We can talk about that later. But so most of my trips, my wife loves to travel with me, but my wife is more of a backpacker hiker. So
Yeah.
when I go on trips and she's gone on photography trips, but you can probably, I don't know if you can relate or not. I shouldn't assume, but your family sometimes are like, okay, you've taken, like we talked about earlier, you've taken 100 frames of this animal standing here. It's time to move on.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, if we can mix in some backpacking and hiking, she goes. But if it's a photography only trip for me, she's like, I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's been fantastic to meet different people out there and establish relationships, and that's an aspect of the hobby that, in all honesty, I didn't think I I didn't expect that, I guess, going into it,
Yeah.
and it's been really nice. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
it is. I really enjoy seeing everyone's work on Instagram. I know we all
Yeah,
complain about Instagram, but
yeah.
I would miss all of you because,
Oh,
like, I
sure.
have no other way to communicate with
Right.
everybody. We're all in different towns and everything,
Right.
but I get
Right.
to see where people are and their work, and it's just, or
Yeah.
like comment. It's just nice, and it's nice to make sure that we're like just sending positive vibes out and into
Absolutely.
the wildlife or even photography community, because I know
Right.
it's not always the nicest place to
Right.
be, but I feel like when
Right.
you make it that, it really can be that,
Right.
it really can.
Well, I know we have a lot of friends in common,
Yep.
on there, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, there's a
So,
lot of
I
great
mean,
people.
yeah, super good people, and especially for me. So, full disclosure, like there was a lot of pictures on my pages that I just ended up deleting because you first get started, and I thought these are great pictures, and
Oh,
but
yeah, I have
the
that.
neatest thing is I look back, some of those photos that I deleted, or a lot of them, I look back and the people that supported me then, now I can look
Yeah.
back and I'd be like, man, they were so nice because I can't believe people commented on this or they said good things. But it was meaningful for me because it kept me going. It did
Mhm.
encourage me and it helped me along, to not give up and whatnot. But those same people are, still there supporting you and doing that sort of thing. So it's,
Yeah, that's
yes,
so true. I
super
did that.
good.
I don't know when I did that, like, in the last 6 months. I looked way back because 'cause I've left a lot of stuff on there that
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for you.
it should be deleted.
I was too embarrassed. So
But, I mean, I've got trips places and stuff, and I'm like, "Wow, I had not really honed in yet."
yeah.
But, I mean, there's still some of the same names for years,
Yeah.
and
Oh
I would
yeah.
really miss people, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, I think it's good that we've all
Yeah.
created a community space there and
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
we saw you in 2025 in February last year,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, last year,
Yeah.
2025, it
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, Brian!"
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it
It's
was like,
crazy.
I'd never met you in person, but it was
Right.
like, "Oh, no, we trust Brian. We like Brian."
Yeah. Yeah.
But you went back with Maureen, right? And
I did.
that snow coach group this last February.
Yep.
How was
Yep.
that?
So it was good. The snow coach part was good. The first couple of days were great. I mean, it was one of those deals. So when we got up there, they had the snowfall wasn't near what it normally
Right,
is. So
right.
I think when we got up there, like I don't think they had had snow in like 3 weeks. And so it was warmer than normal.
It's crazy.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it was a great time. I got to meet some new people
Mm-hmm.
and who were all fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And just talk about how, the photography community is like, it's big, but it's also small. And I mean, I got a couple examples from that. But anyway, we're on the snow coach the first day, and everybody's just kind of talking about what they're doing. And there's a gal, Tracy, who
Mm-hmm.
was talking about going to Alaska this summer.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we get to talking, and Tracy and I are both going on the same trip with Scott and Jackie
Oh my
in June. Like
goodness.
we're there at the same time. And I
That
thought,
is crazy.
yeah, talk about a small world.
And I know Tracy as well.
Oh, do you? Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
she's
And she asked
awesome.
me, "Are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm not on that one, but it's
Oh yeah.
so crazy. I am
Yeah,
going
it's
to. Let
weird.
me show you because you went last year, right? How
I
many
did.
years? Just this
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Okay.
last year.
So
Yeah.
you went and you've got your hat on too.
I do.
Their
I
hat?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a
You
supporter.
That's right. You went
Yeah.
last year with Scott and Jackie
Yeah.
at Stone, and you're going back this next year. But this
Yeah.
this is this morning or evening?
That is, I think morning.
Okay.
I think it's morning.
Okay. This is what I'm
No, you know
looking
what?
forward to.
I think that would be evening because the
Okay.
sun is hitting, because that's looking to the east.
Okay.
So it would be more of a late afternoon, evening time, I think,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the sun sets behind you on the beach there.
That's cool. I have not
So,
stayed the night yet, so I'll be doing that this summer, and that'll be
yeah.
my first time camping. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your experience last year.
Well,
It looks
so
amazing. Your pictures are amazing from it.
it was amazing. At least for me, I absolutely loved it. It's why I'm going back, and
Mm-hmm.
if I can pull it off, I'll go back every year. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's on my list now. Every year I'll do a trip to Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first of all, we got really lucky in talking to Scott and Jackie both. Our weather, we had sunshine every single day. It didn't rain a drop. It didn't sprinkle. It was actually hot.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
got hot, but we didn't have any rain. We didn't have any storms. Matter
That's
of
nice.
fact, there's a few times I was actually hoping for some clouds.
Yeah.
But the weather was absolutely beautiful. Um, and so yeah, I'm going back for sure. But I love the mix. You have beach, you have
Mm-hmm.
mountains, you have the green spaces with the grasses. I mean, you have such a variety there
Yeah.
of different photographic opportunities. And then the camping part, you mentioned, I mean, to me, so I'm a camper. I mean, I'm a backpacker, carry
Yes.
everything on
Yes.
my
Yes.
back, and I'm used to it. But to me, it's glamping. I mean, you
Okay.
have,
Good.
yeah, it's they have, the setup is really nice. The beds, the air mattresses they have are the thickest air mattresses I've ever seen. Everything's super comfy. And I mean, then it's just, like, I don't know if he'll be there next year, but Kelton was there, and
Mm-hmm.
he does your food for you, he makes your coffee for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, you
Wow.
show up and they have they have a whole separate tent where you sit and eat and do all that
Yes.
stuff, and it's,
Yes.
I mean, they have it dialed in,
Yeah, I know they do. I totally trust them. And I
right,
don't think I'm really worried about the camping part. I'm not
right,
really, I actually was driving somewhere the other day and I'm like, I'm not scared of this at all. Like every time you tell
yeah,
people, they think you should be scared,
right.
and I'm
No,
actually like, I don't feel any fear
no.
at
I
all.
I slept like a baby. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
your days are so long, and
Yes.
you're walking around. So by the time we actually, I mean, it's not dark until, I don't know, 11 o'clock or midnight.
Yeah.
So we're out, and you're out, photographing bears until you lose your light, and then
Yeah. Try to get
sleeps,
some sleep.
yeah, sleep 6 or 7 hours, and you're back up. So
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
excited about that. I went last year and I was staying on a boat and then we rode
uh-huh.
a skiff in, but we did
Okay,
have horrible weather. Like it
right,
rained and rained. And I know Scott and Jackie were like sort of in with wind, and we were
yeah,
contacting them. Are you guys okay? And our boat tucked into another bay, and
mm.
we were still in the sideways wind and rain, but we tucked
Oh
in
yeah,
and then could get out once the rain would die down a little bit, but just pouring.
right.
But
Yeah,
still good
you never know.
photography.
Yeah,
You still could
it's
get bears.
Alaska. That's
Yeah, it's
right.
Alaska. So
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I'm just concerned about is like if we get the 60-mile-per-hour winds, and but you deal with it. You just deal with it.
Yeah, and I mean, their tents, they got great tents, you know, they're all set up and guy lined out. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and then they have the big tents that are super heavy duty,
yeah.
and then even where they have everything set up, I'm pretty confident that you know, their location choices are
Oh yeah,
taken into consideration, you know,
yeah,
storms and wind. And
absolutely.
he
I
even talked
totally.
about some emergency plans on if we had to get to high ground or something like
Mhm.
that.
So
But
you
yeah,
like just
it's a cool experience. Just being able to be out there, and not having to leave. Like one
yeah,
evening, we were out there one evening. You know, you're sitting on the beach in Alaska, and so a lot of those groups that come in and out, you know, they're
yes,
gone. They're gone. So
that's right.
it's literally just us. And
Yeah.
so we had set up to watch some bears, and they ended up the bears ended up going away from us, you know, it was out in the tide. They were chasing flounder
Mm-hmm.
out of the way. But anyway, they went a direction that we were kind of like, well, do we try to follow them and get some pictures, or do we just, you know, kind of stay here and call it a night? Because it was getting late. I don't even know what time it was. It was probably, you know, 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But
Yeah.
ultimately, everybody was like, you know what, let's just stay here. And then I don't know if it was Scott or Jackie. They were like, well, what do you guys think about it, having our dinner out here? So
Oh,
anyway, they
fun.
went back. They brought our dinner out there. So we did our dinners out on the beach, you know, had our coffees or whatever afterwards, our
Oh
little
my
dessert
gosh.
snacks. But it's just cool to be, you're the only people out there, you're in the
It's
middle of Alaska.
paradise.
Yeah, you're sitting
It's
on the beach,
paradise.
you're eating, you're having a, you know, campfire-ish dinner out there on the beach. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I just
pretty cool.
absolutely loved it there. Loved it
Yeah,
so much. And
yeah,
it's like I can deal as long as
yeah.
I've got nature and bears and I'm safe, I'm fine.
Well, I'm glad you're going. I don't know. I'm not really plugging this for him, but we had a YouTube couple that
Yes. Oh, yes,
came
that's
on.
right.
I
You
don't
were
know if
with
you've seen
them.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
Kate and or Nate and Kara, I
Here,
think was
that's
their
right.
name.
That's right.
And they have a YouTube channel of a
Mhm.
similar name. But anyway, they have a big following. But anyway, the cool thing was, you know, they did a YouTube video. So I got this video from my trip that I
That's
can
amazing.
go back and watch anytime I want. So that was
That's
kind of cool
amazing. Yeah,
too.
I
Yeah.
remember now that you were on that. That's
Yeah.
right. I thought, "Oh my gosh, Brian's there with the YouTube couple."
Yeah, with the YouTube. I didn't know when I first met them, you know, we're at the float plane place, and I didn't know what to expect, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
super good people.
Yeah,
Super
it
good
looks like a
people.
really thorough video too. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
they did a
I'm
good
really
job.
excited. I'm excited to be able to get the sunrise, sunset. I mean, I know,
Yeah,
interesting light almost all
right,
day, and
right.
so I'm excited about that. It's gonna
Well,
be
that's
good.
awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad you're going.
yeah. So you also have Yellowstone photos. We kind of skipped, we'll skip back to that.
Yeah, yeah,
But let's share some Yellowstone too.
yeah, that sounds
I
good.
think you sent me a winter one, didn't you? Maybe not. Well, I
I
know
don't
I have
even remember. I don't remember what I
I know I have a coyote.
Oh yeah,
That's
that was
cool. That's
actually from
winter.
this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I didn't even tell you though about that. So this winter, that was from this winter. And but those first 2 days on the snow coach with
Mhm.
the group that Marine put together, they were
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And but I got sick.
Mm,
So after our snow coach days, I actually went up north to Gardner, and I was going to spend the basically the whole rest of the week, you know, up on that northern part, Lamar
mhm,
Valley area and all that stuff.
mhm.
So, but I woke up that third day. I drove up after our deal, and I woke up that third day and I was sick. So anyway, that coyote picture I took there, which he's on the side of the road, it's kind of a road shot, but I just thought it was a neat shot. I really loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
He's actually yawning. I had a couple people comment about that, but he was actually kind of yawning, licking his lips, but he looks like he's,
yeah.
you know,
It gives you that
snarling
nice
or something.
gesture.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of
That's
a
cool.
cool attitude looking
Yeah,
shot.
it
But,
is. And all the whiskers and fur so
yeah,
sharp and everything. I
yeah.
love coyotes. I love photographing them.
They're so fun to watch. I
I
think they're
know.
one of my favorite things. Some people just drive right by them, but
Oh no, I
um,
love them. I love how
yeah.
charismatic they are and curious.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, I
Oh yeah.
really do love them. I love
Yeah.
getting winter shots with them. It's so
Yeah.
fun. It's so
They're
fun.
super fun.
And then I know I have something from the Tetons that, this is like right after my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two moose sparring
Oh
and
yeah.
that golden sagebrush and
Yes.
grass. It's so pretty. The
Yeah.
perfect shot with the antlers hitting and the eyes showing.
Yeah.
It looks so good. Those big muscles.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was another so that was a hiking shot.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I just went out on foot, and
Mhm.
I'd actually seen there was three bulls together, had kind of bachelored up.
Yeah.
Um, but I saw them walking into some timber. And so I went and parked and I just hiked in
Hmm.
and I happened to find them. And I sat with those bulls for, I don't know, 2 hours at least.
Ooh, that's
And they
nice.
they they would get up and play spar, and then they would
Hmm.
just bed back down. And I just sat with my back against the aspens, letting the wind blow through. Nobody else was there. It was just me by myself. So it was a super, super awesome experience. Really an intimate encounter with those guys.
And those are the moments that just keep us going back.
Oh yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
like you can't
Yeah.
get enough,
No. Well, they're so few and far between,
They are.
at the national parks to get time like that by yourself.
Yeah.
Is so rare.
It's so rare, especially with two really good looking bulls like that,
Yeah.
or three, as you said. And if people see your Instagram, like you have other shots of these guys too on
Yeah.
there. They're
Yeah.
really pretty.
Did a
What?
little bit of video of them. I don't do much
Oh,
video, but
cool. Yeah,
I
I
had
love that.
time. So I have to give a plug. So
Yeah.
Jenny Cannon,
Mm-hmm.
she was, I was drawn to her. She has so much moose stuff
I
from
know.
over the
I
years,
know.
but when I first kind of got really, involved with Instagram, I kept gravitating to her account because she had so many moose images from the Tetons. So
I know.
yeah,
I tell her that all the time.
yeah, she's one of the people that inspired me to get out there and try to get some better images. So
Whenever we were going to Alaska, she and Maureen were going on the same trip, and I don't even think they knew they were going to the same
oh,
place.
really?
And
In
then
Alaska?
yeah, and then they said,
Wow.
"Well," I said, I'm going to be there the same week on a different trip, so let's meet in Anchorage." So we met in Anchorage, and Maureen said, "Well, Jenny Cannon's going to be there too." I'm like, "Finally, I'm going to meet this person," because she's pretty shy on Instagram, but I'm like, "I've got to meet this woman who makes these moose images because I want." She's
So
just
all three of you ended up in Alaska unknowingly in the same area?
the same, not in the same area, but
Oh, okay.
they did the same trip and I don't
Oh,
think they
okay.
knew it at first.
Okay.
And
Okay.
ended up
Gotcha.
sitting by each other on the plane and didn't
Oh,
know it.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and let's see if they
That's
talk.
crazy.
Yes, Jenny's saying, "Oh my goodness, Brian, I'm so
Uh,
humbled. Thank you, so kind." She's so sweet.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then we found out we were all going to be in Alaska the same week, and then could meet in Anchorage on the very last day of like our
Oh,
trip.
okay. That's
So
awesome.
then drove down the highway together and stopped at some places and just yeah. So that was my first time meeting Jenny, and just, that's when we first started talking about we need a podcast. And
Yeah.
so yeah, exactly. I told
That's
her I
cool.
stopped you to figure out who you were, figure out who you were
Yeah.
making these moose photos, because like you said,
Yeah.
those moose and the Tetons with that golden light,
Yeah.
it's sort of like, it's like I love it. I love that. So
Well, I struggled there for a long time. I was like so frustrated because I wouldn't see anything.
yeah,
And like a week later or a week before or something, I'd get skunked. And then these people are throwing all these photos out. And I'm like,
I know
what
it's
am
tough.
I doing wrong? Or where am I when,
Yeah.
anyway,
It is tough. It's
yeah,
so tough. And in the early fall, I feel like it's like that when they're still down at the
sure.
bottom
Oh,
of
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's it's not easy. And I'm not a person willing to walk down in there and like accidentally come upon one.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it is tough. But when you get
Yeah.
them finally, oh man.
Right. Yeah. It's worth the wait. It
It's
actually
worth
makes it
it.
better, probably. Yeah.
It does. I guess it really does.
Yeah.
So yeah. What a neat story. And thanks Jenny for commenting.
Yeah.
It's so cool,
Absolutely.
that connection.
Yeah.
So, do you have still like dream animals or I know you probably have things on your list you still want to photograph, or dream trips?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one for me is Alaska. So,
Yeah.
I love it. It's the whole environment there.
Hmm.
I love bears. I love
Hmm.
their behaviors, and especially the moms with the cubs.
Hmm.
They're so fun to watch.
Hmm.
But I mean, I also want to go I'd love to find some big, huge moose in Alaska. I mean, the moose and the Tetons are great, but Alaska's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get up there at some point and see if I can track down some of those big guys and get some
Yeah.
images of that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I love what we have available to the lower 48, what we have down here. I mean, I really
Yeah.
do. Um, I've thought about, Africa type thing. I just don't know. I'm not like crazy about it. I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it may be something that I want to try to get over and do at some point. I think
Yeah.
one of the deterrents for me is, so much you have to stay in the vehicles.
Yeah.
And I'm so, it's getting low, and I mean, I still people get amazing shots from over there,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't get me wrong. But for some reason in my mind, that seems like a little bit of a deterrent on getting over there and
Yeah. It'll just be
doing that stuff.
a different
Yeah,
way
it'd
to
be
learn.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of stuck in a vehicle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might go stir crazy, but
Well, we've been talking a little bit in our 3-month group just today, just about how there's just such a pressure to go on all these big trips
all
or
right,
go on, go to Svalbard and the Pantanal and all this stuff
all
and
right,
Churchill. And, sometimes I'm like, I just kind of like what I do. I like
right.
my moose. I like my bears.
Yeah,
I like alpine. I like the lakes. And,
yeah,
and sometimes it's like, I don't know, that pressure is like, do we really have to have all that pressure? It's a
yeah.
lot of
No,
money. It's a
yeah,
lot of time. And, so I think you're right. You got to do what you love
yeah,
and what's in your gut to do and
right,
just follow that passion instinct. Cause,
yeah.
you know, yeah,
No,
I think,
I agree 100%. And
yeah,
even my style, so I drive most places. I
mhm,
like having my vehicle. I
yes,
have stuff all over the truck, but I
yes,
mean,
it is so nice
but
that way.
everything's where I know it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I even stay in my truck the majority of the time.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
um, but it just the flexibility of being able to do that, because there's been times where I'll go to the Tetons, and if I had a hook and things just aren't super active, well,
yeah,
I can just head on up to Yellowstone or spend a couple days there, and I hear, hey, there's some activity down here again, and I can pick up and go again. Whereas if
yeah,
you're getting a hotel or whatever, you're kind of locked in. So I don't know. I like having that flexibility, and then some of the control of just having everything
yeah,
the way you want it to be, and
yeah.
um, it's not always that way. So
Yeah, I love that feeling driving
yeah,
around in my car, just having
yeah,
everything with me and seeing what I
right.
can find. There's just, stopping and getting a hot cup of
That's
tea.
right. Yeah, for sure.
It's just those mornings, those cold mornings like that. I just love it. Just
Right.
anything, when you're like, what are we going to find today? What are we going to find?
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
so any other animals you're thinking of though? The big moose.
Yeah, the big moose.
Yeah.
I
We saw
love
a
it.
couple when we were in Alaska this last time when we were in the
Did you?
skip, and one we were not in Hallow, we were a different bay, and
Okay.
um all of a sudden there was a moose on the shore, a smaller one. And then when
Right.
we were actually in the meadows, in that different bay, one came out and there were like 5 grizzlies right around
Oh,
us.
wow.
It came up over the hill, kind of saw like, oh my goodness, there's 6 or 7 humans and 5 5 or
Yeah.
6 grizzlies.
Yeah.
I'm out. And he just took
Right.
off. But all of us were just in shock. We were not expecting a moose to show up.
Right.
It's pretty cool, pretty small, but
Yeah.
still male. But that was a cool experience. But
Google Maps did him wrong.
totally. He was like,
Gave
what in the world is going on here?
gave
I'm
him the
not
wrong route.
staying.
No, but the one thing that eludes me, I mean, is wolves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've seen every year I think I've done Yellowstone now 5 years in a row in the wintertime. I go in
Wow.
the winter just because I
Yeah.
think your odds are better, and I see wolves every trip. And I'm not close enough, to get the kind of images I want. So
Yeah.
I've thought about doing. I know, Scott and Jackie have started some wolf trips in Alaska too, so that's
Mhm.
kind of been on the radar potentially. And there's obviously in Hallow, you have the chance at wolves there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've actually got a couple of nice shots for their clients there, but
Yes.
wolves is, um, I just whenever it happens, it'll be all the sweeter, I guess, because I've just always been just a little late. Even this year, even though I was sick, I was about 30 seconds late to, I think her name's is it Julie Argyle, I think is her
I think
name?
so. I think so.
So her and another guy, I pull up and they're standing in the road, and she actually I saw the picture because I sent her a message. I'm like, you got to
Mhm.
be kidding. But she told me, she said, she's like, you're the most beautiful black wolf
Oh,
had,
no.
had had been there. And I think, I mean, they'd been maybe out of their car, 30 seconds, and she took a couple pictures and it turned around. But anyway, but then later, because I sent a message to Maureen too, I saw her
Yes, yes,
post and I
yes.
saw this thing, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, it was a gorgeous black wolf, and
Oh, pretty.
I'm getting picky, but a lot of them are collared now. It seems like
Yeah.
they used to do like 2 with every pack. I don't know if they're doing more now, but anyway, I don't want a collared wolf. I'm going to be
Right.
picky
Right.
about that.
I
So,
know.
but
Yeah.
anyway, it's like that's kind of been the story of my life so far with wolves. The luck has not been on my side. So,
Yeah, I'm the same. I saw them close, but I was on the wrong side of the coach. And then
okay.
they came to us from a distance chasing bison, and it was gorgeous. So
Oh
we have
yeah.
like an environmental, but all I could do was hang out of the snow coach window and like try to film with my
Yeah.
phone. It was,
Yeah.
but at least I
Right.
saw them. I'd never seen them
Yeah.
really in the wild. So that was really
Yeah.
cool. I
That's
keep
awesome.
hoping for something. I'm always ready for some kind of luck to happen.
Right.
You
Oh
never
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you
I
have
agree.
questions for Brian, you can put them in the Q&A and we'll try to answer them. But put them in there and ask him anything you want about photography or his creative process. And um, we're gonna continue with other questions, but I'll catch them in the Q&A box if you ask them. And so, Brian, you have a little companion that goes with you. You mentioned it a little bit, but do you have a four-legged friend that
I
comes with you a
do.
lot of times?
I do. I have a little cattle dog named Aspen. So
Aw, that's so
she's kind of
cute.
marked like the bark of an aspen tree. She's kind of
Mm-hmm.
white with black, kind of a I don't even Dalmatianish looking, but it's not real
Mm-hmm.
common for cattle dogs. But yeah, she's my travel partner. So
Yeah.
my normal routine is I love light, so I'll get out in the mornings and I usually unless it's overcast, but my shooting day is over by I don't know 10 o'clock. It seems like most
Yeah.
mornings. So
Yeah.
then I'll take her and we'll find a place to go hike and spend the afternoon hiking, and then I'll come back after I tire her out
Yeah.
and get an evening session in. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we do.
I mean, is that not a dream life or what?
Oh, it is. I tell you, I totally I feel blessed.
I know. Every
I feel
time we're in the
blessed.
Tetons, I'll say to my husband, our dogs are Finley and Bodie, and I'll say, wouldn't Finley and Bodie, they would just love it here. And he's like,
Hmm.
how would you know that? I'm like, because
Yeah.
I know. Because I
Right.
know they would
Right.
love it here.
Right.
I think it's really, I would love to have them there, with me in
Yeah.
the car, like you're saying, and
Oh
just
yeah.
free as can be,
Yeah.
not getting out in the national park or anything, but
Right.
just, it's just
Yeah.
so
That's the
beautiful.
only difficult thing is in the national. I got to put some miles on because I'll have to leave. And
Yeah.
I've done most of the places now I'm familiar. I mean, I know places that we can get to and I can get
Yeah.
her out and let her do her thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it adds a little bit of logistics to the trip, but it's worth
Yeah.
it.
But how cool.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy's asking, how has your composition of your subjects changed as you progress in your photography from beginner to now?
Wow. Well, it's changed a ton
Hmm.
because I mean, I can tell. So when I first started, if I saw an animal and I finally had a lens capable of filling the frame, I'm taking a picture.
Oh, yeah.
So, and early on, I got home and it looked like I'd gone to a zoo that had elk and deer in it. It's like
Yes.
I'm looking down, and anyway, they were rough. So I think the biggest thing that's changed is you look at more than just the animal. So I mean, I'm always looking at the animal, but light is huge right out of the gate. What's the light look like? And then background is probably
Hmm.
one of the single biggest things that you start paying attention to, or I started paying attention to as I progressed, that I really didn't look at that much,
Yeah.
when I first got started. So
Yeah.
getting low,
Yep.
getting low, knowing your light, and then, what's your background. From a composition perspective, I would say, those are the biggest thing. Getting that background. I like those blurred out backgrounds, when you can get them. And now I'll pass up, especially in the elk rut. I used to stop right away, but if you can kind of tell if there is a big timbered wooded background, I'll keep driving for a while and see if I
Yeah.
can't find something that's got more open space behind it. So
Yeah. It's so true. Your eyes always looking at background and
oh yeah,
trying. Yeah. And just in this, we're showing Brian's photo again, if you're just listening, of the bull elk, chin up, majestic kind of prance. And he's in the bottom third of the frame where he's
yeah,
looking out. You can see where you've given space where he can look out into the frame. That fog is behind him. So pretty. The antlers are showing, the tip is showing. So that in itself is just such a pretty composition.
yeah,
But I think, Brian, a lot of times in your work, you are definitely low
Yeah.
and you're showing the strength of that animal. Like you are
Right.
making sure that you're low and showing that this is a majestic, large land
Right.
animal. And
Right.
so you can feel that presence because
Right.
you're getting low and showing those big shoulders and
Yeah.
everything and those portraits.
Yeah.
So that's
I definitely, especially like with the elk,
mhm,
yeah, power. That's a good, I mean, I've never really thought about it that way in
mhm,
all honesty, but I think
mhm.
maybe, yeah, I love that when they start posturing and
Yeah,
getting those head raised and,
yeah,
their noses up and the same even with the bears, like, you're looking for those certain stances that
mhm.
just portray that power and confidence and, kind of telling the story of what the animal's about that time of
That's
year. And
right. That's right. All
yeah,
those little things, the gestures and everything really tell,
yeah,
and like that powerful leg position. And I'm
right,
always looking for powerful leg position kind of going forward. And then can I see four legs? Can I see
right,
distinct legs? But I know if people look at your work, they're going to see the light and they're going to see how you're low and then that powerful animal is coming
right.
towards you. It's a lot. You do that really well.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think we have another question. Just a minute in another box. Okay, this is from Nick, and he says, "Is your editing flow simple or intense?"
Oh, it's simple because I'm not very good with that stuff. I use Lightroom,
Hmm.
is my main thing, and I really stay. I don't even remember the first box, but um, mainly if I have to adjust my exposure a little bit,
Hmm.
shadows a little bit, contrast, and then I mean,
I
I
feel like your
don't.
white balance is really good too, Brian.
Yeah,
You don't have like magenta bears or anything. Your white
yeah.
balance is really good.
Yeah. So something I do, and I don't even know. So, I use my exposure compensation a lot and I use zebras a lot, which I know a lot of people talk about, well, they only use that for video, but I use both because at least on I shoot a A7R5, which by the way, if you look at reviews and ads, that's a horrible wildlife camera, but that's what I use. I think primarily it only shoots, I think I get about 9 or 10 frames a second shooting raw compressed raws, I think what I
Mhm.
shoot at. But I well, with the lighting conditions that I like to shoot in, I expose more to the left a lot so that
Mhm.
I don't lose highlights.
Mhm.
And then in my edit process, I'll have to bring out some of the shadows, at times on my subject, but it keeps me from losing those highlights. Whereas if I expose more to the right, even if on my histogram, I'm still kind of centered. I don't know. I feel like the lighting and the colors and the tones I get out of the Sony system
Mhm.
just work that way. At
Yeah.
least I feel like it works for me.
Yeah.
And I do adjust. I usually use auto white balance settings, and I will say, so a lot of times, and I know people that are landscape people will do this, I think at times, but I'll set it on cloud or shade on my auto settings on white
Yeah.
balance
Yeah. Yeah.
and sunrise sunset times. You just get
Yeah.
that, it warms it up, whereas it
Yeah.
seems like the camera is trying to neutralize everything if I just leave it in like a daylight mode. Anyway,
Yeah.
when I do stuff like that, I mean, you can always change that stuff in post as well,
Yes.
but I don't have to because I shoot
Right.
like that a lot in those early
That's what we've
times.
said a lot on this podcast, to go ahead and get it off of the auto white balance, put it on
Yeah,
shade or cloudy, and then you
right,
stay like that all day and you could watch
right,
it and then change it in post, but it's not like you said, it's not going to try to keep neutralizing it for you
right, right.
in that. So that's exactly, yeah. Do you shoot in auto ISO or aperture
I did,
priority?
yeah, almost always an auto ISO.
Okay, that seems
And
like a big trend right now. Everybody is
mhm.
moving to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it the other way, so
Yeah.
I tried to, all, but it just it works for me, and it was
Yeah.
easier, and it's just something I don't have to think about,
Yes.
and that I'm just adjusting my, my shutter speed and my aperture, keeping an eye on my histogram,
That's right.
and I can do things so much quicker that way,
Yeah.
especially with wildlife,
I
where
know.
things can just, you're outside, things can just change so fast, and
Hmm.
cloud can roll in or the sun can pop out or, just things change. So anyway, that's how 99% of the time.
Yeah.
That's how I'm shooting. So
I'm an aperture priority 99% of the time.
okay,
And I
yeah,
want people to not feel guilty about that because I love
oh yeah,
using exposure compensation.
yeah,
And
me too.
if you have your camera working for you just in that one
Yeah,
area, you need it for wildlife. Like
yeah,
things are happening fast. And
right,
like you said, if as long as you're looking at your histogram and you're moving
yeah,
those dials,
yeah,
you've got control over your camera. So
yeah.
yeah,
I agree totally.
yeah, because I think, when I first started, I'm like, you have to shoot in manual. You have to
Yeah.
shoot in manual. And I think I did my first workshop with Steve Mathis, and he was like, he said, "How are you shooting?" And I said, "Manual." He said, "Why? Come on,
Yeah,
you got to get out of that." And I'm like,
yeah,
"But I thought
yeah,
that was the best."
yeah. Take advantage of the technology.
Take
So
advantage of the technology, and then you do
yeah,
what's comfortable to you. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
I
if you have
agree.
more questions, just let us know. I'm going to move to the speed round and we'll go through that. And if anybody has questions, we'll go back to it. But so excuse me, what is something in your camera bag that you can't do without?
Well, my extra cards. I keep a
Yeah.
ton of cards in there, so I never want to. I keep cards in my camera bag. I keep extra cards in my pocket. Same with batteries. I mean, I got
Yeah,
batteries in the bag. Anytime if I leave my vehicle, I got extra cards because you never know what's going to happen.
you
I don't
never
want to.
know.
I don't want to have that epic deal where I fire off 3,000 frames and I'm out of juice.
Yeah. I'm
So
at the point
yeah,
now too where a pocket has stuff,
yep,
emergency stuff, because
yeah,
otherwise I know something's going to happen.
right, yeah, for
Is there
sure.
something in your office or your truck that you bought or your in your bag for photography that you bought and you're just like, I'm never going to use that. Why'd I buy it?
Well, those little air deals, I've never used that, and I mean I have it in the bag, but I've
I
literally never
know.
used it.
Someone said they use that all the time, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should be using that.
I don't. I mean, I don't clean my camera gear. I'm horrible. I clean the lens, but
Yes,
that's about
I
it.
know.
I don't brush anything. My stuff looks rough, but
I know mine does too.
yeah,
I'm kind of the same.
I'm never gonna resell it and make much off of it. So
Yeah, I probably should. I know after I got back from Alaska and it was raining the whole time and sandy, I probably should have sent that
yeah,
in.
me too. Yeah, me too. And I haven't. It's
I
never been
didn't.
cleaned.
No,
Yeah,
I don't want to be without it. So
right.
I'm like, well, I have a couple of bodies, but it's still like I don't want to be without them.
Yeah,
But anyway, do you
yeah.
have a favorite snack while you're driving around with Aspen?
I'm a Sour Patch Kid guy.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love Sour
Oh,
Patch Kids.
yes. I'm always like to the kids, you guys want to get Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah,
They're for me.
yeah,
I'll probably steal them from you, but
yeah.
I know. I love them.
Hard to
Um,
beat.
is there a time when you were out of your comfort zone, but it pushed you in a positive direction with your creativity?
Yeah, I definitely think so. There's an image that I shared, and again, it was in Moraine, but I had an opportunity. There was a bull, and I don't know if he's still around or not, but they called him Drop Tine or
Mhm.
Kickstand.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
anyway, there was an evening where the way it sits there, the way that little valley, sits, the sun sets to the west there, and there's a little place on the road where you drive down. There's kind of there's a hill, and then way back behind the hill you have a mountain. But I try to condense the story. But this bull and his cows had been on, I'll say, the east side of this hill, and they'd went over to the other side, and the sun was setting, and the light was going to be beautiful. So well, I shouldn't say everybody, but 99% of the photographers and the people out there went around to the other side
Mhm.
to get a picture of this bull in that beautiful light. And I just decided when I saw everybody going over there, I guess my thought was, well, there's going to be, 1,000 pictures of this scene,
Yeah, yeah.
So I sat there and I looked up, but the way the light was working, so the sun was setting behind a big mountain, way off in the distance. But the way this hill was, I was thinking if this bull comes back over the top of this hill, so it was like it wasn't direct backlight, but it was going to be backlit, but it was going to be kind of a filtered backlit because the mountain was behind it. It's kind of
Yeah,
hard to explain.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, I thought, man, if that bull comes back over and he comes right, up over that hill with that lighting, that is just going to be an amazing shot. So there was actually a guy and his wife that were still sitting over there where I was, and I asked if I could get in the back of his pickup truck to try to get a little bit better of an angle. So I got up there and I'm just waiting. I don't know what's going to happen. And quite a bit of time passed by. Well, then I started seeing some shadows. Well, fortunately, there was a couple of cow elk that came over the top, and I was able to get my settings dialed in.
Oh,
And I mean,
nice.
my exposure compensation, you know, it's like -6, and you know, I don't know, my shutter speed's at 6,000, whatever, because it was really bright. But long
Yeah,
story
yeah.
short, I got lucky, and he ended up coming over the top of that hill. And in all honesty, like if I hadn't taken the picture myself, I would have totally thought that it was photoshopped. Like
Yeah,
I would have
yeah,
looked at it and thought this is a photoshopped image,
yeah.
or that I changed the background or something like that. And I mean, it's a, you know, it's a literally, it was a literally a 100%. I mean, it was one of those almost zero edit images. But
Oh, that's
anyway, it
fun.
was, you know, you don't know how it's going to work out. And in
No.
all honesty, I didn't have a whole lot of experience with, I guess, a backlit silhouette to that
Mhm.
extreme or level. And then after that, it gave me a whole lot more confidence. I mean, I love shooting into the sun now,
Yeah, yeah,
and it just gave me more confidence um, to make that stuff work, to
yeah.
figure out settings and that
Absolutely.
sort
It
of thing.
takes a
So
while where it's like, "Oh, now
yeah,
I get it. Now I
yeah,
get it." You just
yeah,
need that practice and, like, for it to
right,
work, for it to all
right.
come together. Oh, that
Well,
sounds cool.
I'll go practice that stuff. I mean, it may sound silly, but I mean, I would encourage people, like, I'll go out and practice that stuff on cows and
Yeah,
cattle, and you know,
yeah,
in the fields, like any, it doesn't matter what
yeah.
it is. I'm not that I'm gonna do anything with a picture, but yeah, you can practice on anything.
Practice with the light.
So yeah,
Absolutely, because
absolutely.
it's
Just
tricky.
that's
It's
right.
really tricky. And exposure compensation, just
Yeah,
practice,
that's
practice.
right.
Yeah. I think we have a question from Jenny Cannon. Brian, what
Uh-huh.
time of year was your Alaska trip last year? And what time of year are you going this year? She's curious because you had great weather last year.
Oh yeah. So I was in July last year, like I was towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think there
Mm-hmm.
was maybe one group after us before they transitioned to their fishing camps.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year though, I'm going in June. Um and the way I understand it, I mean, I'm not an expert in this area, but obviously the bear behavior, you know, changes throughout the year,
Yeah.
and the number of bears changes, and you know, the boars are kind of there early for the breeding phase, and then they don't completely disappear, but they kind of move on. So you'll see different bears, or the numbers are different. So I picked an earlier time, not really so much for the weather, but just try to get a different, you know, dynamic, and get different behaviors from the bears, maybe get some more moms with cubs and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was there. I can't remember exactly. It was mid to late July,
Yeah.
and then this year I'm right around late June. So I'm about a month.
Yeah.
I think I'm about a month earlier than I was last year.
Yeah, that's when I was there this last year. And it
Okay.
we did have nice mom and cub situations and
Right. Yeah.
a few boars too. Yeah, it
Right.
was really
Right.
good. But I'll be there the last one before they transition to fishing. So I'll
Okay.
be there
Yeah.
late July.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that'll be really interesting.
hopefully you get the weather we did, because
I know.
it was amazing.
I
Yeah.
hope so too. My
Yeah.
first trip to Alaska, it was like what you were saying. It was hot. And it
Yeah.
was like, this is Alaska?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's hot out.
Right.
Okay, Nick says, I have had both knees replaced and it's very hard to get low. I've been thinking about setting up a monitor on top of my camera. Do you think from your experience this is a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
No.
Yeah, especially if you don't have, you know, like I have a flip screen on mine, so I use that. But if you don't,
Mhm.
absolutely
Yeah,
get creative and do what you
yeah,
have to do, because it's, yeah, getting low is huge.
yeah, it is.
It just helps you with that background, and that you get an eye level. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you can completely change how your images look, just, you know, a couple feet lower. Yeah,
yeah, that's true. And you at least have the option. If he wanted that
absolutely.
option, he could have it. And
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
doing that last night. I had my bag. I had my camera bag and then I had my camera on top of it. I took it off my monopod because I wanted to be lower, but put it on my camera bag and then took the flip the screen out and I was just photographing with watching
Yeah,
my screen because
right,
it was so muddy. I really just ran out there in jeans and wasn't ready. Whoa,
right.
storm coming. And so I just like kind of did a makeshift thing on the ground, but at
Right.
least gave me an option. So yeah,
No, that's what I don't, I'm not a screen person. Like I like
yeah,
looking through the
me
viewfinder,
too. Me too.
but sometimes, I mean, even that, like sometimes the difference in like being on a knee
Yeah.
and, either getting on your belly,
Yeah.
or like when I was in Alaska, most of my shots, I mean, I was laying on my belly.
Yeah.
So even if you can shave off a foot or two, it'll make a difference.
Yeah. You could try it and see what happens. See
Yeah,
what you think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have another question. Let me see here. He says he shoots a Z8. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So he could
Yeah.
You could try that, Nick.
Yeah.
That might work. That might work. I'm gonna make sure that I have all the questions. Sometimes I forget to delete them and they're still sitting there. I'm like, don't want to miss anyone. Don't want to miss anyone. Okay. So was there a time in wildlife photography that touched your soul?
Yeah. Two actually.
Mhm.
And the first was when I finally, it may sound silly, but probably not to a lot of you too, but when I saw 399 the first time,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit, I was almost a 50-year-old man, and about brought tears to my eyes. I mean,
Yes.
I had tried to see her and photograph her. It was another one. And my wife and I had gone with me, and we'd done 16-hour days, trying to get a photograph. And so anyway, when it finally happened, I was overcome, man.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. I mean, I know a lot of it is just because, the press she got, but her story is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
it made it special to get a couple images. And then
Yeah.
unfortunately, she was hit by a car 5 months to the day that I finally got some decent photographs of her. But that was a big deal for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other one was in Alaska last year. We had a couple, but one in particular, they have a name. I'm not great with the animal name. I think her name might have been Shelly.
Was it the one with triplets?
Yeah, I had
Yeah, that's
triplets.
Shelly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we had I don't know, mid-morning, early afternoon, that we were sitting and watching her, and she had stayed, I don't know what she was, 20, 30, 40 yards away from us, and we had watched her for a long time. And finally, she just decided to bring her cubs by and, I guess, introduce them. And so I mean, 10 feet, she walked
Yeah.
them by. And I don't, you've experienced it, so you understand. But I mean, you can't, it's hard to explain to people. I mean, if you're into wildlife photography, you love wildlife and you love bears, there's nothing more powerful than, I think, having an encounter like that where
Yeah.
you're that close,
Yeah.
um, to those animals. And
Yeah.
it teach like, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from it is, one thing is how bad we humans have screwed stuff up,
Yeah.
because it just goes to show, like, so much that's a reality of the way things are between us and wildlife is created by humans. Because you go somewhere like that and you can see what it could be like,
Mhm.
if there was trust, if the wildlife had plenty to eat, you know um
People aren't hunting them
yeah,
like all the
yes,
time. Yeah.
if there's proper balance, and if
Proper
there's
balance. Yeah.
all those things, like, you can coexist, and it can be such an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, those two experiences both were just absolutely amazing, and things that I'll never forget.
Yeah. Shelly did the same thing with us, and
Oh,
I
did she?
I sobbed out loud. I didn't mean to,
Yeah.
and it escaped.
Yeah.
And Siler turned and he was like, "Jen?" And I was just like tears because
Yeah.
he came that close to us and nursed them all. I've said this
Yeah.
before. But it's something that will be with me until I die.
Right.
I will never forget that. I will
No.
never forget that peace that we
Right.
had with her and those babies and just the peace that's out there.
Right.
And, hopefully it stays that way. I know we have to fight to keep it that way.
Yeah.
But
It's
you're right.
powerful.
It's
It's powerful.
powerful. It's
It
so
is.
powerful. I think I
Yeah.
have one more question, but um Sharon's saying, I've tried to use the screen on my Canon R6, but struggle with it. I'm used to using the viewfinder.
Yeah.
Can't get the flip screen to work for me. Any tips other than practice?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, I struggle with it a little bit too, because for one thing, I'm constantly adjusting, making adjustments, especially to my, if I try to get my
Right.
shutter speed as with my auto ISO, I'll play around depending on what the animal's doing. If I need to speed up the shutter speed, I will. But If I need to slow it down to lower my ISO, and I'll do that. And that's all of that's harder when you're trying to look at a screen.
It is.
And and then just even composing your image is more difficult, at least to me, when
It
you're
is. Yeah.
looking at your screen. So it definitely is. It's definitely more challenging, and most of the time I don't do that. I mean, just to clarify, like if I use the viewfinder, but if I feel like literally sitting my camera on the ground, maybe angle it up a little bit, or if you're in a boat or something, if you're confident enough to hold it over the side by the handle to get that water level shot, if you're photographing birds or something swimming on otters or whales or whatever. I mean, that can make a big difference in the image. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. It is
hard.
more
It's
difficult.
hard.
Yeah.
It is. It really is practice. And I still am practicing at it. And I think one of the things I love about flipping that screen out is when you want to blur that foreground out and you just can't get low enough,
That's
especially
it.
with a small animal like a duckling or something like that, or a gosling or a baby bear.
Yeah.
Once you can get it down to the ground and flip that screen, you're going to blur out all that grass. Sometimes it looks man-made.
Right.
So you can blur that out.
Admittedly, that's probably one of the times that I might do a little bit of spray and praying. Where I'm literally, you're literally kind of moving the camera intentionally.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's not really,
And you're hoping that you got one, and you hope the gesture worked. But it's also like, I do try to just like the horizon line, because I realize like sometimes I'm doing that and I'll get home and they're so crooked.
Right. Yeah.
So I have been working like, okay, where's the horizon line? Get that straight. At least try to stay straight so you don't get home and you have diagonal photos all over the place.
Right.
But even last night, putting it on my camera bag and close to the ground, that gave me such stability.
Yeah.
So it really is practicing. I mean, when you're at low level water, like I was at just a local pond last night. So you're at low, you want to get low level water, and I couldn't lay down.
Right.
It was just so gross. So I'm like, my bag can get gross. I'm not really willing to get gross right now.
Right.
So
water shots, that's a big deal for water shots.
Yeah. It just looked better with the water if I get like I was on the water. So
for sure.
Monty says, not something for wildlife shooting, but I use a 10 times loop sunshade over my viewfinder for close-ups, wildflowers, and landscapes, and great for checking. Oh, that's a good idea. And great for checking your focus and sharpness. So, that's a good idea. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Great idea.
I have a little like fisherman cushion that I take out.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that last night, and I was like, dang it, I wish I had that, because I definitely would have been on my stomach and stuff. I just needed something for this mud.
Right.
But anyway, there's so many things we can practice, and so many shots to take in this thing that we love, and it's just all so fun.
Right.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
So what's coming up for you next, Brian? What are you doing next?
So the plan is I'm going to be out in Yellowstone next month, and maybe the Tetons too. I don't know. I might split it up a little bit, but mid-May, second, third week of May. I got a trip out there, so I'm really looking forward to all the babies and the little ones running around.
I know, that's fun. Baby season is so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
So that's May, and then I'll be back in Alaska in June. And then I don't know. I thought about trying to hit the velvet phase of the elk action in July-ish or early August, and then I'll be back, out there in September. And I always start my falls in Colorado, and then a couple times I'll just keep on driving, and it's a nice thing, I guess, about my employment state right now, but I'll just keep driving out west and spend a little time in the Yellowstone ecosystem.
Yeah. So, I love that drive. I mean, I know some people don't, but I love that drive between Estes and the Tetons, and the skies forever. It just goes on forever, and the clouds and everything. Yeah.
A lot of people don't. I love Wyoming. I mean, just the pretty skies and sunrises and sunsets out there. I could drive out there for days. So
I mean, you're used to Kansas, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And where can people find you if they want to find you?
Well, right now I'm just mainly on Instagram.
Yeah.
BrianHill.wildlife is it's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So
if they wanted to get a print from you or follow you,
they can contact me there, and I sell a few prints here and there, but
That's
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
they see something they like, they can reach out for sure.
Yeah. Well, make sure you share that photo either like on your stories or something and tag Wildlife Conversations of the backlit elk coming over the mountain.
Oh
I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
see
yeah.
that because I didn't see
Yeah.
that on your Instagram. I'm gonna have to
Oh
look back
yeah.
again.
Yeah,
So share
I
that.
put a couple of frames on there, I think. But yeah,
Yeah, I'd love
I'll
to
share it
see
or
that.
tag
I'd
it.
love for
Yeah.
everybody to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you so much, Brian. I knew this
Thank
would be
you.
so fun and so easy because
Yeah.
like I said to you, you're why I'm doing this podcast so we can talk, so I can talk to other people that love this as much as I do. And it's just so good to see you again. And hopefully we'll
Yeah,
see
you
each
as
other out in the
well.
field again.
Absolutely. Thank you for
We
having me.
will. Like you said,
Right.
it's a small world.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, everyone, you can say goodbye to Brian and say thank you. I know everyone really enjoyed this. And anytime you want to come back, just let me know. Thank you again to Robert's Camera for being such a support and to GURA Gear for supporting me. You can find discount codes in the description for them. You can follow Wildlife Conversations podcast on Instagram and me, Jen L. Ritchie, on Instagram. You can also find the podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. In YouTube, it's under Jen Ritchie Photography under my own account. May 12th, I have photos by Rice Cakes coming up. Christine Rice, who I know a lot of us already follow, and she's going to be on May 12th. And then hopefully it's going to work out, and I'm going to have Amy Vitale on in June. I'm so excited about that one. And then if you'd like still more information about the 3-month cohort, let me know. And I just, again, Brian, want to thank you so much for joining me.
Oh,
I
thank you,
so
Jen.
appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
I know we have a
Yeah.
lot in common, and it was so
Yeah,
good to talk to you
absolutely.
about that.
Yes.
So we'll see you again
All right.
out in the field.
Yes. Thanks,
Okay,
Jen.
thank you. Bye, everybody.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.